Why is documentation important for insurance claims? Documentation provides a clear record of damages. Loss sustained always is visual. So by gathering evidence, by including photographs, by video footage and invoices, any expert assessment, ultimately we want to try to influence the outcome of the claim and the best betterment for the property owner. What kind of documentations are accepted within an insurance claim? Well, when I talk about videos, I talk about invoicing, I speak about photography. These are all obviously things that a homeowner is able to put together. What we do is we actually take all the information that's being provided by the homeowner. We reevaluate everything that we're looking at to ensure that we're able to give a very clear focus on how and what took place, and most importantly, what we need to do to be able to rectify the situation to make things right, bringing it back to an original stance before the incident took place. How can your public adjuster use documentation to help recover losses? This is all done specifically by each different adjuster. From our office here, one of the things that we try doing, depending on the type of loss, is we bring in expert analysis. So if there's a question for the interior of a home, we're looking at a rug, we're looking at something that could be priced one way or the other, we use an independent laboratory, usually the same ones that the insurance company uses. So we get an independent analysis or an evaluation of something, so there's no guessing. If we're exterior to a home, one of the great things that we use are satellite imageries. Satellite imageries help us better not look at the damages, but get specific measurements, know the walls of a property, know the roof, the pitches. And with that data, and then we use our own drones, we'll basically fly our drone over the house to get live pictures of all the variations of the property, the damages from every angle. By collecting these pieces of information together, we're able to produce a very specific piece of evidence to show all damages to the property without guesswork. Same processes, by the way, the insurance company would do on their own. Let it be that you hire a public adjuster and try to put a claim in. The insurance company will use all these same tools I just provided to you here and do that and use it against you. So we try to provide them every which way we can to control that narrative to make sure things work for you. Do insurance companies respond more favorably to public adjusters in the documentation process? Well, honestly, I find that the better insurance companies are more interested in working with us because they look at us as helping them prevent fraud. At the end of the day, when you have two professionals, a professional from the insurance company coming out, evaluating an insurance claim, and a private, or what I like myself, a public adjuster coming out for the property owner, we're able to reduce fraud by agreeing on specifics within the chain of events. How did the event take place? What was done to safeguard the property since the event has taken place? What experts have been here to evaluate the situation as come forward? All of these individuals and reports are utilized while we're inspecting and reviewing these pieces together. At this point, one of the main things that we try to do is create a scope that's what's needed to correct the claim. What does that mean? If it's a windstorm claim that hit a window of a living room, it may include the exterior roof and some siding. That goes back to the technology of the satellites and drone imagery to produce us the pictures so everyone could agree. On the interior, we may have a crack by the window where we need to replace a window. We may have some drywall that needs to be replaced. All these things are what we need to agree on a scope that we have interior damage. So when we leave a claim together, the insurance carrier and ourselves, we are in agreement. What changes is the evaluations of, let's just assume drywall, paint, some technical pieces outside of sending specific items out to, as an example, a independent laboratory for roofing to ensure we get the right roofing shingles priced properly, your siding to ensure siding is evaluated properly, to ensure that the rug or the wood flooring in the interior of your home that was affected is evaluated properly above and beyond paint, trim, all the other variables. This is what we try to ensure, and if there's any holes or pieces or things needed, we escalate anything and everything to move the process forward to come to a settlement that benefits the homeowner. Can a public adjuster use documentation to negotiate? It's a great question. And the reason for it is, above and beyond having the agreed scope or agreed inspection at some point, we go back to documentation and negotiation. Sometimes in the insurance world, you come along claims and relationships within these insurance companies where you better understand what limits an insurance company may have. Part of that negotiation could be you have a claim that's somewhere between $45,000 and $55,000. At the end of the day, having a good relationship with the insurance adjusters, knowing the different people that you're dealing with, they may advise me to not allow my claim to surpass $50,000 because of approval purposes. So to make things right and keep things within that scope, I don't detail all the details. I give him enough details to get the $48,000 so he can get everything pushed through. What we do is when the contractor comes out to do your repairs and he starts labeling things that he sees are not included, we'll add all that back in as a supplement. Maybe at that point get the additional $5,000 or $8,000. So negotiation is important because there are different ways to move forward with things, and having that type of relationship with the different adjusters, as our office has here from handling so many different claims here in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, we've been in positions like this where we're able to negotiate. We're able to sell upon things where maybe we're able to do things a little bit differently and get the insurance company to make a quicker decision. We need to do whatever we can to benefit the insurance company, so we only negotiate in the betterment for the property owner. Can better documentation speed up the claims process? Fast claims processing is what all property owners want. So this is always my suggestion, is why you hire a public adjuster. We're able to ensure that every type of documentation, every question, every hole that the insurance company wants to put into a claim, and there are more insurance carriers that we recognize their names and they're not to be mentioned, but the reality at the end of the day is most insurance companies do try to look at things in a negative rather than a positive, even though you're the one going through this situation. So my belief is if you categorize documentation, you put a timeline together, you ensure the fact that you follow basic guidelines, stop further damage, document all the things that took place with particular pictures, photographs, and if there's someone who needs to come out and do specific mitigation. Personally, most of the claims that I work on, if there is water, smoke, or any type of damages, we will look for the homeowner to safeguard their property. We turn them on to some form of mitigation type company to neutralize what's being done. This puts them in their best position to get things fixed at 110% of the way it's supposed. So my 110% means they can only get paid, obviously, 100%, but the 110% means that we don't leave any corners unturned. We stick with them all the way through the process, which ensures that even when the job gets done, that they realize that sometimes some insurance companies do hold back money. We make sure that we're here for them at the end to make sure they get that hold back as well. Why should somebody hire a public adjuster? I mean, there are two ways of looking at a claim. I'll give you a good example from a guy I do business with. He told me a neighbor of his had a claim that was denied. So I said, well, let me give her my number. So I gave a call to his friend, next door neighbor, there's 2 houses over. Look over her policy, look over her denial, explain to her whatever took place. Let's just now go downstairs and look. Was there a basement? I look over everything. I said, I know this adjuster. I said, you read what he's saying here? He feels like something else is happening. They're denying you, but he's also kind of leaving a door open, and you're not seeing it because you don't understand the documentation that's being presented to you. So what I was able to do was honestly just have her go to the basement, went over to the area where the problem was, looked and saw that there was water literally leaking behind the wall on a pipe. Told her she needs to get a plumber here quick. Following day, a plumber came, fixed the problem. For a period of 13 days, there was water running. 7 days in this, the adjuster came out looking at it, but her complaint was mold. Mold's not a covered piece of a policy, but mold came from somewhere. That's why the guy knew there was something else going on, but his job isn't to come out there for the insurance company and find the problem. He just left the door open on a legal stance because he's a good adjuster. I know the guy. And when I was able to explain to her where she got the plumbing bill to say this is a covered claim, we contacted the insurance company. They accepted my letter of representation. They accepted the additional plumbing report, the additional information that we brought forward documentation-wise, was able to get him to come back out, re-inspect the property, and we received $25,000 for the client who was getting $0 before he just mentioned to me this little instance. So I always try to say to people, you don't know where a conversation will take you or what I can possibly do to fix something. On the other side, how do we help people? Why do you hire a public adjuster? Because you have a tree that fell on your house and you don't know what the heck to do, but you know that it needs to be moved. It's on your back porch. Well, most people find me that way. And what we try to do is walk them through what needs to be done. And usually they all work and say, can you handle this? Same thing again. We will walk them through, call their claim in, do everything we can do to have the whole entire process from soup to nuts handled and put them back to being rebuilt as if nothing ever took place. People hire us to enable themselves to know that everything is going to be handled correctly. Representation for their claim is done in a professional manner. And most importantly, whatever fault that took place is on the insurance, and we are sure that the documentation and proof is there for you. So these are reasons that you want to hire a public adjuster, because it is a tedious process. It sounds like it's just this, and it's done. It doesn't always work like that. Some insurance companies are a little bit more hard to navigate through, but we know what we're dealing with. We know what we need to do. So we know how to control your expectations, because you have one of these fruitcake insurance companies that try to drag things around, rather than a company that just looks at me and says, Ron, what do you got? Perfect. Send it over. Send me those pictures. We'll cut a check. That's what we want most of the time. That's what we try to strive for. But insurance companies don't always work that way. Having us involved allows us to have that relationship to make sure things get done in the betterment of you and your claim and your property.